Supadoodle gang, welcome back to I Ask for Yappuccino featuring your host Josh. I feel like every video we kind of have a new mic situation going on, and for today we have this empty capsule, if you could even call it. It's like made from plastic. When I was during like quarantine pandemic 2020 era, I took up making rings, like crafty rings, and what used to be in here were stones, and I still have a few left, but I had to empty it to use it for this mic stand because in my previous videos when I hold my microphone with my hand and like move it around a bit, it's still kind of um it kind of vertebrates, if that's even the correct word, to the audio, and it kind of affects it. So I was like, okay, I need a mic stand to like hold my mic comfortably while I talk and make my videos. So I'm just using this because it's more comfortable to like hold it instead of using the mic. So I hope that the audio is good and that I'm speaking okay and that you can hear it all right and there aren't any interruptions or um, high inclinations and whatnot, if that makes sense. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. I would like to thank you all so much for around 250 views on my Wattpad video. It's the video before the recent one I uploaded. Thank you all so much for the views. I didn't anticipate for it to reach that much, and I gained a lot of new subscribers, so welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to firstly watch my video and take the time to interact with me and, you know, look forward to more content. It really fuels my motivation to continue making videos, and it makes me really happy. So I'm really glad that that video went well. I feel like putting Wattpad in the title was kind of like my buzzword for attraction, so that's definitely good. And I thank you all so much. I'm repeating myself, but thank you all so much for watching that video, and I hope that it maybe piqued your interest to take a look at my stories that I've been working on. And yeah, feel free to take a look at that. Links are in the description if you want to navigate to it. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's video. This video is gonna be very random. It's like a jambalaya of a bunch of things, and I just wanted to talk to you guys about my thoughts on various things. I guess you could call this a bit of a reflection because we're more than 6 months into, more than halfway through the 2025 year, and I feel like a lot of things have occurred this year. I've definitely grown a lot, and it's only been a couple of months, and I would just like to share kind of like what has happened, and I just want to kind of like journal it down, let you guys know about it. So let's get into it. Okay, before we get into it, so I know I mentioned in my previous videos that I wanted to make a redemption Q&A because my audio got cut off when I did the Shalom Harlow video, and I answered a bunch of Q&A questions, but they didn't see the light of day because of my audio getting cut off. So I was thinking of making another makeup video where I would answer those questions again, but I'm pushing it back along with, because I've read a bunch more webtoons, so I was thinking of also making a webtoon video where I rank webtoons, give my thoughts on them and whatnot. And then I also mentioned like so many videos back that I wanted to make an anime ranking video. Never got to it because firstly, I know it's gonna take so long, and also because I wanted to film a bunch of other videos before that. So I just like, oh, it's kind of in the air. I'll get to it eventually, you know what I mean? But I'm pushing it back more with along of the other videos that I talked about, just because I don't know if it's the right time to really upload that kind of content, because I think the spotlight should be on a bunch of other issues. And I will touch upon those things in this video. I feel like it's more appropriate to film this video, talk about it now, and then get to the other ones in the near future, if that makes sense. So thank you all so much for being patient. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys are understanding that. And yeah, let's get into this video. So to give you guys a bit of context, I don't think I've ever went through this. Oh my gosh, this is another video that I wanted to make, but it was when I mentioned like, oh, I'm settling down, like figuring out like my major and stuff for college. I was like, okay, I wanted to make a video about like tips and tricks on like what to do and like my advice, but I never really got to it. Yeah, it's like in the air. If I get to it, I will, but I don't think I'm gonna do that one because it's like, what advice do I have to give? I don't even trust myself, you know what I mean? But to give you guys some context on kind of like where I'm at educationally, academically, and whatnot, since it's almost the end of summer, which is so sad because it's like the summer has felt so short to me because I took some short classes summer classes for the semester. They were pretty easy, but still, I was just hoping that I could leisure a bit more before we get back into school, the groove of school, but it's right around the corner, unfortunately. But, you know, I speak from a privileged standpoint because I know it's a very high privilege to go to school nowadays, especially with what's going on. But to give you guys a bit of context on why I had to take summer classes, because I think you can kind of piece together that the reason why I had to take summer classes was because your girl missed out on a few credits. And so I had enrolled in an art school my senior year of high school. Like, I got accepted and I was like, okay, not even going to think about it too much because it's like, I think I'm going to be fine. And the reason why I enrolled into that art school was because I have really bad transport, not bad, but I have transportation issues within my household. So it's difficult for one person to drop this person off, drop that person off. And I don't have a license, even though I know I should. But let's be real, driving classes, getting your license and whatnot is very costly in this economic and political, you know what I mean, uh what's going on. It's kind of like, yeah, your license is probably like far down the line. So my only source and reliability for transportation is one person in the house. So I was thinking of doing online classes, online college, but majority of the online classes that they like put up on curriculum is asynchronous, which means that you work at your own pace, and it's very much online. Like, you read this, quiz yourself about it. That's the way you learn, and that's literally not the way I learn. I need someone to lecture for me. And I really liked the way the pandemic classes were oriented, where it was like Zoom and the teacher would lecture. It's like you would be there but at the comfort of your home. It's like, it very much mirrors the way classes are in person, but you're at home and doing it electronically. So I was trying to find classes similar to that structure, and I only found one art school that did that. So I was like, this is perfect. It's art. I like art. I think it's very oriented to what I want to do. I think I'll figure it out. It's my plan B, you know what I mean? So I enrolled into that school, but along with the structure being good, the majors online were very limited. So I was undecided at the time, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, but I need kind of like that stepping stone. This school is oriented to art. I think it's fine for me, but it was also very costly and very difficult. I couldn't choose the teachers I wanted, the schedule I had, so I had some classes early in the morning and then some classes late at night, and I was just like, this is not gonna work, and I don't think it's worth the money. So I dropped out. Not dropped out, withdrew from that school. And yeah, it was the best choice because I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I feel like if you want to go to an art school, you should definitely know what you want to do. And I just didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, I think I'll do it here. I didn't really take it as seriously as I should have. And yeah, I ended up dropping out. And my parents weren't happy about me wanting to enroll into a community college, but I really needed that stepping stone to firstly figure out what I wanted to major in and just get used to college classes, because I feel like the jump from high school to college is so abrupt that many students fall behind and are just really lost trying to get used to the schedule. And I feel like that's the most difficult part of college, just really getting used to how classes are, the way the professor structures. And it's like, you could withstand classes in high school because they would give you a lenient amount each day to learn upon. But in college, it's like, okay, we have this semester and you're gonna have to like learn everything within these couple of months. So it's a lot of classes, it's a lot of material in one class. So it's definitely hard to absorb and get used to. And I think that's what the biggest kind of like gap to it. It's like high school doesn't prepare you properly for that type of curriculum, unless I guess if you do APs and whatnot. I didn't do APs, which is I guess my mistake, but I wanted to have an easy breezy high school year. Like, God forbid a girl want it lenient and relaxedly, but I don't even know if I'm making sense. Like, I go through this in my mind so eloquently, and then I actually speak and put the camera on, and I'm like, does that make sense? I don't know. I know I've said that like various times in my videos, but it's really hard to like turn on the camera and start talking, but I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so I enrolled into a community college. Best choice for my family and I financially because of a lot of other things. And I only took a couple of classes because I enrolled really late, and it was like the last session of the fall semester. So I just grabbed whatever classes I could, and it was two classes. each college class is around 3 credits long, so I only got 7 credits because I enrolled in 3 classes, and one of those classes had a 1 credit, so it's kind of like a, you know, I think it was like a first year seminar, which is required for freshmen. And yeah, so those were the classes I enrolled in. And obviously, that's not enough to kind of be like, because I think you have to take around 4 to 5 classes each semester to be on the like pathway of graduating within 4 years. But the way I like my major is, it's not my major, but it's more so like how much I can handle each semester. I'm taking a lot of because my major is in industrial engineering, so I'm taking a lot of math and science classes, and I feel like the most important part about college is having a good professor, and those good professors get snatched up so easily. My biggest advice is for you guys to stay in tune with when like enrolling for classes starts, so that you can get the best professor possible that works for your schedule as well. And that's really hard because it's like people are also, racing to get the best professor that works for their schedule. So it's difficult to kind of orient it that way. I'm kind of lost my track of thought. But I keep saying orient. I think that's my favorite word. What the heck? And so because of that, there will probably be only like a couple of teachers that are good and work for your schedule, and because of that, you will probably only be able to take a couple of classes each semester, which is what the boat I'm in. But it's also not too bad because the classes I'm taking are also difficult because they're like math and science, and I want to give myself enough time to manage those classes along with my life outside of them. I think that's also really important. So because of that, I'm kind of really going on my own pace, taking classes in a certain bunch of semesters, and just working it around what works for me to complete my major and degree, get that degree, you know what I mean? But I feel like it's gonna take longer, maybe like 4 to 6 years, which is just like no. But yeah, like with the circumstances I'm in, with like the the way like those classes are just like, it's hard to get them each semester with my standards of working with my schedule, and because of my transportation issues and getting a good professor, like it's difficult, but to get those classes. So I'm only taking like 2 or 3 each semester, and you should kind of take like 4 to 5 and be a part of clubs, which is like, baby, where do you get the time for this? You have to make your whole life revolve around like college and whatnot. And that's difficult, especially for me because I'm not passionate about college. Like, I'm in my major just because it's very prosperous and I want it to have stability, you know what I mean? In this life, you know what I mean? And I keep saying, you know what I mean? I did a lot of research about it, and there was a lot of good things that people said, like, oh, I don't regret it because of this and that. It gave me a lot of opportunities. And industrial engineering is also very versatile and flexible, so you can go into like a lot of fields, and I like that a lot. So I was like, yeah, I guess I have no other choice. But I wouldn't say I'm particularly passionate about math and science and learning all those things, and the fact that it's going to take like 4 to 6 years to accomplish that as well. And what, for a 9 to 5? Yay! Like, yes, I'm so happy. I understand like the privilege, and I'm not trying to seem like I'm out of touch saying that, but it's like I want to do other things like YouTube and my hobbies, and yeah, but I'm doing that on the side so far with college. I don't know if what I said at all makes sense, but I was giving you that context. So I'm a few credits short, and even shorter now because of taking less classes each semester from limited availability with my standards. But I wanted to tell you guys about that because in the spring semester I enrolled in a philosophy class because I think I needed some social science credits. So I took philosophy and then took psychology this summer. But taking philosophy was very open-minding for me, and I definitely recommend that if you have the opportunity to take it, Oh, I don't know if that made sense, but if you have the opportunity to take it, definitely take it. It's a very open-minding class, and it opened my mind a lot. And I didn't realize how kind of like life-changing it would be, because it really planted this huge seed in my head. And I'm going to briefly go over it, but I think with the circumstances of how life is nowadays, I am honestly losing my faith a lot, and it's really hard to be like according to religion and whatnot with what's happening, because it's as if you're like your prayers are not being answered, if that makes sense. And once we went over, which is it's this philosophical concept called the problem of evil, which I won't get too into it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, the problem of evil, like, why does evil exist in this world if God is merciful and whatnot? And once I got into that in my philosophy class, I was like, okay, this is a really valid point. I really like understand it, and I've been trying to find answers to it through like what each religion has to say about it, and I haven't really gotten an adequate answer that I think sits well with me. All these other answers are kind of just, it's a lot of mental gymnastics, and it's a lot of like people, like, I was reading the comments and they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and I'm like, does it though? Because I don't know if it's not clicking for me. But the problem of evil, right? And with what's going on, it's like, why does evil exist? I've never really got to the bottom of that. I mean, I understand that, like, we are free creatures and whatnot. We were given free will, so either do good or bad, and lots of bad things are occurring right now, which means that the responsibility falls on humans, correct? But it's like, there have been divine interventions according to a lot of religious scriptures, where that power was given to like messengers, correct? So, and they were able to do crazy things. So I'm just wondering where that divine intervention is, and why there's no divine intervention as of now, because we need it a lot. So that really opened my mind, and it's made me question a lot about my faith and whether or not I feel correlated to it. And it also fueled me to just look into my religion. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if I agree with it that much. I think that a lot of religions are objective to certain times, and a lot of them don't work with the way the modern world is, and which doesn't make sense, because all of these religions preach that they are perfect and ideal. And if that were the case, it would be timeless, and it would apply to back then and right now. But if I'm being honest, not a lot of them do. And that's just like scratching the surface. If you go into a lot of like what scholars say, they have a lot of like justifications. But again, to me, it really just sounds like a lot of mental gymnastics to justify why XYZ did XYZ. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, well, why did they do that? I don't know if that sits well right with me. And they're like, oh, well, for the time it was very progressive and this and that. And it's like, but it should be progressive for all times, because wouldn't have they foreseen that this religion would be practiced in the future? So it should be timeless and apply to standards of each time. You know what I mean? So I was just like, okay, why is this not the case? And it also fueled like that seed of the problem of evil was planted in my head from taking philosophy. And now then, as I looked into my religion, it was planted into the seeds like, oh, well, there's a lot of these things that are only objective to certain times. So it's like, I disagree, and I'm allowed to disagree. But it's like, if I disagree and I don't follow that portion of the religion, then I'm not following it adequately. And I can't, because you need a lot of historical context to understand religions. And it's like, with that historical context, some of the things you won't agree with, obviously. So it's like, I can't cherry pick, because a lot of these scholars, they really cherry pick like the good and turn a blind eye to the bad. And it's like, well, what about this? And it's like, well, then just follow it through these as cherry picked stuff. But it's like, I can't turn a blind, if I'm gonna accept a religion wholeheartedly, I need to accept the good, the bad, the ugly. I can't just cherry pick the good and continue practicing it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I've been, and I think it's definitely kind of pushed me into a bit of an agnostic sphere, and I didn't anticipate that whatsoever this year. Like, 2025 was just like, it buckled me up for a lot of just like realizations that I just didn't know were going to be a thing. But I'm honestly proud of myself for sticking to what I think is moral. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I'm not really like idolizing anything. And because I'm like, okay, everyone is equal. So I don't know if that makes sense. Everything is equal. Okay, just because, like some perfect person of a religion has done something that I don't agree with doesn't give them kind of like the right to do it because they're this significant person of this religion. They're still a person. I'm still a person. And if I'm supposed to pledge allegiance to this religion, but this supposed perfect person has done something that I don't agree with, I'm allowed to feed my curiosity and I'm allowed to stand on my feet and say that that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm allowed to stand up for myself and what I believe is moral and ethical. And I'm proud of myself for doing that because I think that some people don't understand their worth with that. Like, they're like, oh, well, who am I to say this? Who am I to say that? And it's like, yes, sometimes who are you to say that? And I definitely do fall under that category. Like, who am I to say like XYZ about, this problem of evil stuff? Like, I'm not a theologist or whatever the heck, you know what I mean? Am I making any sense? I keep getting brain farts, brain fogs, whatever the heck, but I keep saying whatever the heck. Like, I keep repeating too many words. I'm not good at speaking. Anyway, I hope that made sense. This is a lot of yapping, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to get a lot of things off of my chest, I guess. Talking to you and whatnot. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's definitely put me in this like um I'm a little lost sphere in life. And I'm just very curious about a lot of things, But I'm not letting myself not indulge in my curiosities and not be a part of it. I'm definitely like, okay, well, it's normal to be curious about this instead of just like shoving it under a rug, I'm standing up for it. And I know that can be taboo a lot. But I think taboo needs to be talked about. It shouldn't just be like, oh, well, don't talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like, why? It should be talked about. If that makes sense. Also, I forgot to mention, but it's like, when it comes to religion, it's like, you don't know what is right. Like, what is the rightest way? It's like, if I were born, for example, in Thailand, I would be Buddhist, correct? And I would, not that I'm trying to invalidate people who are Buddhist and not say that, like, your way of living is incorrect, but I would think that was right. You know what I mean? If I were born in, like, I don't know, Italy, I'd be Christian, and I would think that way of living is correct. It's like everybody thinks they're right, so what is the rightest way? And it's like when you dig into that, it's a lot of overwhelming information. And it's like, who is right? You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? It's difficult because everybody thinks they're right, and everybody is a little stubborn with that. Like, oh, I am right. This is the rightest way to live. And it's like, I don't know. I guess you just have to look into all of them and see which one you resonate best with. It's very overwhelming. But I think I'm just gonna do my own thing. You know what I mean? No, I want to do my own thing, if that makes sense. Going back with like morals and ethics and whatnot, I think a big realization that I realized a bit around when like the attacks with Palestine started occurring was that a lot of celebrities let me down with their stances on that. I think a lot of people came out to be Zionists, and I was really shocked with that. I was like, what? But not that I'm trying to say that like people should look to celebrities for where they stand on like certain situations. No, but it's like at the end of the day, these celebrities, you're endorsing them, you like them, and this and that. And it's like, if you like them, you should also agree with them, with their beliefs and whatnot. And a lot came out and were opposite of what I believed in. And I was just really shocked about that. And I guess it made me realize that, like, I shouldn't be like idolizing these people for their beliefs. And it's disappointing, but I can't just give them a slap on the wrist because they're my favorite celebrity or whatnot. It's if this is how they think, well, then that's that. And I don't believe in it. So why should I continue following them and etc.? You know what I mean? And I'm very disappointed that a lot of celebrities aren't really speaking out about these issues. I know some people are like, okay, again, why are you looking to celebrities to speak out about these issues? But the thing is, celebrities have a huge platform of people who they could say XYZ to, XYZ about to, if that makes sense. So, on the contrary, it's like you kind of should be looking to them. They're people, they have political views and whatnot. And it's like, just because they're a celebrity doesn't mean they can't talk about politics and how they think of this and what, what, and all those things. They can still say it. Like, I don't know why people are like, oh, well, they shouldn't kind of like put themselves in this and that, and they're like, they should kind of stay in their lane, but it's like, they're still a person. They can say what they want. And I guess I'm just disappointed that there are people that are staying silent when they should be saying so much about, they could, if they said something, it would be very helpful, you know what I mean? And the fact that our law are complicit, it's disappointing because it's like, again, they have so much power to help a lot. Maybe they're helping in silent, who knows? But I don't know. I just feel very iffy with that, and I'm disappointed. I get that it's like management and whatnot. It's like, okay, well, maybe they're staying silent because whatever their PR is saying, like, oh, don't speak out about this. You're a little bit under some controversy or whatever the heck. Management and all that stuff doesn't matter when there are people dying on the other side of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't, it's very out of touch to just be like, oh, well, what about management and these contracts and whatnot when there are people dying on the edge of the world. For example, Bella Hadid, when she spoke about standing up for Palestine, was taken off of her, I think, Michael Kors contract. Look at her bravery. Like, that's very commendable to be like, okay, screw these contracts. I'm gonna speak up about my people. And it's like, okay, who is Michael Kors without Bella Hadid at this point? Like, who cares about that ugly bag when she was the face of the company? Like, they're literally nothing without her anymore. And it's like, look, like, that's the way people should be. Like, who cares about these contracts and whatnot when this is a humanitarian crisis? You know, if that makes sense. Like, I also know there's this a singer named Nemathis. I'll put her up here. I think her label broke off for her record label broke off from her because she spoke up about her people. That's crazy, but it's like commendable because it's like, okay, screw these contracts, screw these management. Who the heck cares when there's people dying on the other side of the world? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm very disappointed. But I also been have been fueled by a lot of admiration for these people who are brave enough to stand on their feet and be like, no, I don't care about this. I'm gonna speak up. And yeah, but it's also disappointing because those who are staying silent are kind of gauging a lot of attention, because I think a lot of people are like, well, that's my favorite. Okay, well, but they're still my favorite and whatnot. And it's kind of taking away from the limelight of these people who are standing up and being braver about what XYZ, you know what I mean? And it's really, overall, I feel like especially like in K-pop, there have been a lot of controversies going on, and I think a lot of people uh have got kind of been canceled quotation marks, because they're not really canceled. Like, they were kind of forgiven a slap on the wrist because it's like, oh, well, it's my favorite, you know what I mean? Like, you can't cancel my favorite. It's like they give a lot of leniency, the fans, I think they do. But it's like, I did a bit, like, at the start of the, like, around October 7th, 2023, right? I gave a little leniency to the celebrities that were speaking up. I was like, okay, well, I'm not very well rounded in this. I don't even know how I think about it. But then I was like, okay, no, I shouldn't just kind of turn a blind eye to it. How can I sit with myself knowing that I endorse in these celebrities when my viewpoints with them are different? If that, like, does that make sense? It's like, why am I still following this person if I don't agree with them? So it's like, with these celebrities that are coming out and standing up for that, they're not getting the limelight they need, though. It's like, it's unfortunate. It really is, because I think a lot of the celebrities who are speaking out deserve that recognition. They're very much like Nima. When I say that, she could wipe literally all the current singers right now that are trending out of the ballpark. Her voice is just that good, and she's so underrated. And it's unfortunate that it's like, not that I'm saying it's wasted potential, because it's like, who knows, maybe in the future she'll get that recognition. But it's like, unfortunate how she isn't gaining it now. You know what I mean? When she deserves it. She really does. And it's like, it's sad because it's like all these people who are like, if I'm being honest, not as good of singers as she is, still have such a strong fandom, even though they're controversial as heck. And it's like, it's surprising how they're still relevant. I don't get it. Like, there's so many celebrities who have been canceled, but for some reason they're still considered relevant. It's like, did we forgive them suddenly? I don't know. And it's like, but the does that make sense? Like, it's really disappointing. It really is. I don't know. Maybe it's like a sign of the times because everything is in shambles right now. The economy, politics, employment, friendships, even. Like, having friends is really hard. Being in a relationship, it's like, don't even dream about it at this point because it's like everybody is in shambles. I feel like when it comes to like relationships, so many people are cheating. It's like it's difficult. And having friends even more because it's like literally it seems like nobody wants to be friends anymore. And I don't know, like everything is just kind of terrible right now. Literally everything. And it's like you're trying to find like some sort of something to latch on to, and it's like what is there to latch on to? And I understand it. The root of the issue is kind of all the same stuff. People don't have free time. They have uh things to worry about, very important things to worry about. That's literally like, oh, life or death. How do they put food on the table? And it's like, I keep saying like, it's terrible. It really is. It's like, how do we even live life? Because 9 to 5s, right? 9 to 5, that's almost 10 hours of your life each day to work. And I'm sure that you're not even passionate about it. Because once it becomes work, maybe you were passionate at the start, but that passion is kind of being lured out of you. It's difficult. You have to go to school. School is difficult to even pass. People don't talk about that as much. Like, girl, even getting the to this point to that point is like, why are we saying it so easily when it's a lot more difficult than that? It takes time. It's money. It's a lot. You know what I mean? And then you get to your job and it's like, oh, so this is literally the rest of my life, huh? So I understand why people are trying to start their own businesses, start this, start that, because they want to escape from this kind of like nutshell that society has kind of embedded into people. Like, oh, well, get a 9 to 5, this and that, have a family, start a family. How to even start a family at this point? Like, you have to, how do you work and have a family at the same time? How do you give your children the attention they need? Especially like, let's say it's like a newborn kid that requires a lot. You're going to have to take some time off. But to take some time off, you probably have to have you have to have stability. So I'm assuming you saved money to take time off because how are you going to pay for everything? It's really difficult. And again, all these hardships are occurring. I'm not saying it's occurring to like primarily me and I'm trying to be like, oh, well, there's this, there's that. I'm not trying to seem like out of touch because again, there are people dying on the other side of the world. I'm just trying to like say that it's, I guess, kind of like be a megaphone a little about like, I know, like, girl, you don't need to reiterate how difficult it is. I don't know. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. But I'm not trying to I'm very privileged and I'm not trying to say like, "Oh, well, look at me. I have to do this. I have to do that." No, not at all. I'm just trying to say that it's difficult for these people and I'm being affected. But not like, again, not as affected as the people that are dying on the other side of the world. I'm not trying to seem out of touch. Maybe this that kind of conveys to you that way. And I'm sorry if it does, but I understand. I'm very grateful for what I have and a roof over my head, food on the table. I'm very grateful for that. But it's a lot of society's like default life that they kind of feed you is just not what really meshes with a lot of people, and I definitely don't think it meshes with me as well. Yeah. But even then, when it comes to my hobbies, I mentioned this about how I was kind of having issues with like st- st- feeling like it was meant for me because I had to discipline myself a lot to get the goals of my passions done, and I still do. And it's kind of making me question, like, okay, well, I have these hobbies, but I have to kind of tell myself to do them because they won't get done if I don't tell myself to do them. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, if you're not really feeling resonative with academia and getting a higher education, then try to find some sort of thing that like gives you talent. But it's like, I don't even think I have the talent. It's more so just hopes and dreams and dabbling into stuff and just giving it a try. And I'm still gonna do it because what else am I gonna do? What? Scroll on TikTok? That's not a life, you know what I mean? I need to try to do something, and that's what I'm trying to do. And like, I can feel a little disheartened in doing it. I think that comes with everything, hopefully. But I don't see much people talking about it, about them feeling kind of disheartened with pursuing their hobbies and whatnot. But I do feel disheartened. I don't know if it's gonna get me anywhere. But that shouldn't be the sole takeaway of doing it. I should do it because it brings me joy. But again, I'm not really getting that much joy because I have to discipline myself to do it. But it does give me productivity and give me like, I feel like I know what I'm doing and whatnot. Not that I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm busying myself. You know, I'm being productive and whatnot, and I feel a huge sense of accomplishment from doing my passions. But again, I hope that somewhere down the line it brings me that like effortless joy that a lot of people talk about, where they're just like, oh yeah, I don't even force myself to do it, it just comes to me naturally, and I crave to do it, I want to do it, blah blah blah. I really want that because it's hard to kind of like, again, I'm not trying to seem like, oh well, it's so hard and I'm complaining and whatnot. I don't know if this whole video is just me complaining, but if it is, oops, I guess. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've really wanted to talk about in this video. I just kind of wanted to talk about these things that I've been having. And next week I'm turning 19, and yeah, the show must go on, I guess. I don't know how to feel, but being a teenager is definitely, it's a roller coaster. Yeah. And I only have one more year, and it's crazy because after this year I'm going to be 20. And yeah, life is just going by, the clock is still ticking. Anyway, as you all know, there's a lot of conflicts occurring in this world, and um, a lot of conflicts. ICE hostages are still being taken in America. Alligator Alcatraz is still going on. A lot of these weird laws are being passed that impact our future. When it comes to third world problems, there's people dying left and right. It's unfair, but advocating about it is the least we could do, vocalizing about it. It's our right. It's our First Amendment right to say it. And I think we should speak up for those who can't. So, with that being said, I wholeheartedly welcome you all to give me resources in the comments down below, talking about like any issues, on ways in which I can continue advocating for those. I think the only way to really do it is to either donate or to sign petitions and just continue talking about it. And in links of my videos, I have like a list of a bunch of petitions you all could sign. So take a look there. It only takes a couple clicks to push your voice out there, and I will try to. I'm trying. I hope that's doing my best with advocating for these issues. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm sorry if this video was kind of really negative, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And yeah, have a good one. I don't know how do you. It's the ending of YouTube videos are very similar to like a conclusion paragraph of an essay. You're like, well, all in all, to conclude this and that. You know, it's very much just like, well, you watched this video, you took something out of it, hopefully. And I hope I made sense. Anyway, have a good day. Take care. Bye.